June the 26th, just days after his funeral, Lil Jeff's first and only full-length album would be released posthumously, and the project would be released under the label Grade A Productions, started by infamous former Chicago street rapper Lil Bibby, the same label responsible for releasing much of Juice WRLD's brilliant catalogue. Now I know some people are going to hate me for saying this, but I feel that this album, Steppin' in Blood, is one of the greatest Chicago drill albums or projects ever produced, and it's not just because of the demonic and violent content, but Lil Jeff's whole flow and delivery throughout this project, combined with the very unique Chicago drill beats that are reminiscent of the golden era of the genre, makes Steppin' in Blood an incredible time capsule that both reaches back into the past of the early days when Chicago drill music was sonically completely original and not watered down or manufactured, as well as the lyrical content maintaining on the cutting edge of the modern era of drill and street rappers, obsessed with ultra violence and committing murder just so that they can rap about it. It's like something out of A Clockwork Orange, but it's set in Chicago and now. The project is hyper aggressive from its very first track, which is interestingly a studio remastered remix of Lil Jeff's classic song, improving the audio quality, as well as adding a verse from former No Limit street brother of Lil Bibby's and Chicago drill legend in his own right, G Herbo. But after Herbo's track ends, the first new song off the tape is the booming track Spot News, named after Chicago's infamous Twitter account that tweets police scanner info, reporting the shootings in the city literally as they just happen, something that Lil Jeff seemed to trigger numerous times. The beat for Spot News is booming, and reminiscent of the early days of Chicago drill when it was melodically heavily influenced by Atlanta trap. The mixing and mastering is on point and the drums shake the room before Jeff jumps on the track with his lazy flow, perfectly complementing the beat with back-to-back bars describing his lifestyle of being a killer in the streets with an effortless but impactful delivery. You can almost smell the pills on his breath. And the way Jeff raps about violence in this song make it seem like it's completely casual and he's fully unbothered, which perfectly captures his personality in the streets. Killing and rapping about it was just a normal day at the office to Lil Jeff at this point in his life. He raps about seeing ops, immediately pulling down his mask and jumping out the car, something we saw him literally do on the day he died, and rapping about putting people's faces on the news and the shootings he was responsible for being posted on Spot News. He seemingly refers to having got revenge for Z Money's death and saying the get back isn't a big deal, and he's got bars about stealing the very same watches that he wore in his early music videos. He would appear to refer to the murders of Monty and Lil Rob numerous times on the song, rapping that he does things twice and rapping how 2 people died on 1 hit. Jeff's laid back delivery sees him float through the track with finesse, and if you weren't paying attention, you might not realize that every single bar is painting a vivid and violent picture of his life as a demon in the streets of Chicago. The next song on the tape, Lost My Gun, takes on a completely different vibe sonically, as this beat has a much more ambient and creepy melody that makes you feel like you're creeping up in the dark to surprise your op from behind rather than jumping out of the car blasting them in the face. Jeff starts the track with a hook that's just as haunting, rapping, "Damn, I don't think you know how it feels, jumping out with the chopper like you with the Navy SEALs, waking up early morning like it's time to go kill." We know that Jeff was really doing these things, and it's true. I really don't know what it feels like to live that life, but over the course of the song, Jeff proceeds to tell the listener exactly how it really feels to live the demonic gangbanging lifestyle that he's got himself wrapped up in, painting a vivid picture in excruciating detail of what it actually feels like to be in Lil Jeff's shoes. He raps about jumping out on the ops, popping them like pills, and we knew he was really doing both of those things. And he would go on to give an interesting insight into the dilemma he was facing before his death as his music career was taking off, mentioning how he was being offered record deals and explaining that people keep telling him to rap, but because of his pride, he wants to continue drilling and killing people in the streets.
Any labels been reaching out to you for any offers? What you telling them? How much they gotta come for Lil Jeff?
They know. I be telling them. They know. I talk to them and tell them.
Yeah.
I ain't going for no just know that.
Word.
They talk to me though. They know what I be telling them.
It's a surprising level of self-awareness and quite prophetic considering what actually happened to Jeff. And in the next line, Jeff would seemingly predict his death, rapping that he's going to die before he gets arrested. On the next track titled On My Wrist, featuring fellow bloodhound Vert, Jeff would rap boastfully that you can't hop in this car if you never killed nothing, and wearing black Nike Air Forces while walking down his ops and killing them. The next track, the LA Freestyle, was another reference to Jeff's time spent in LA, with this song having one of Jeff's most demonic bars referring to the murders of Monty and Lil Rob, with him rapping, "I know 2 ops didn't graduate," and saying that there's nowhere safe and that he smokes people downtown. On the song, he would also rap about getting watches for free and claiming to have stolen a total of 5 watches and 3 chains in his robbing career. He would also make reference to killing people in Milwaukee, giving some more proof to the rumor that he was carrying out contract killings in another state, as well as explaining the exact circumstances of his death, rapping, "He ain't shooting out of cars, he's chasing people on foot." The next track would be a song teased previously, but now updated with a very interesting title, the song In Your Home. Interestingly, this beat harks all all the way back to pre-Chicago drill and the genre's original influences from Atlanta trap music, as the beat itself is just a slightly altered version of the original beat that Atlanta trap legend Young Jeezy used on his iconic trap Trap or Die. But Jeff's modern day flow and subject matter regarding the Chicago streets in 2024 seems to completely breathe new life into this old beat, making for a song that still sounds modern despite actually being on a beat that was made in 2005. Like, if you listen to a snippet of both songs back to back, the flow is so different it sounds like a whole new song. Once again, this is a song that seemingly describes the exact circumstances of Jeff's death. Jeff opens the track rapping, "Pulling up, hopping out while the car's still in drive, Vert hop out, Blitz F 'em up" on both sides. Later rapping, "Last dude got chased all the way in his home." This is a crazy lyric, as it shows the video where Jeff dies really wasn't the first time he had tried to chase somebody into their home trying to kill them. Ironically, this is the very thing he died trying to do. And people would post the lyrics in the comments saying that there's clearly no cap in Jeff's raps. Jeff would also diss Lil on this song and rap openly about the get back for Z Money. Commenters on this track on YouTube would praise the lyrics for being just straight up murder confessions. The next song, 9 with a 9, had a more modern day Chicago drill type beat with a haunting melody that sounded like it could be more at home on the next Lil Durk album. This was another aggressive anthem which included more bars seemingly aimed at Lil Rob and Monty, with Jeff rapping that a couple people died because of a watch. The next song, Here We Come, was another more modern beat with extremely violent content, with Jeff rapping about putting his ops on Spot News, referring to the deaths of Lil Rob and Monty once again, with more crazy lyrics where Jeff claimed to be able to count his bodies on 10 toes. Looking at the comments, this was seemingly the very demonic bars that fans were turning up for, but Jeff's delivery was so smooth, if you weren't paying attention you might not realize that he was rapping about having actually killed 10 people. On the next song, titled Threat, Jeff opens the song with the same insane boast, rapping, "In my city I'm a threat, bitch I'm really up 10 hats," with comments laughing at just how crazy it is to start a song with this wild lyric saying you killed 10 people. And he follows it up by saying he has so many hats or kills that he should be sponsored by the hat brand Mitchell & Ness. Another crazy lyric would see Jeff rapping about killing someone and the video of them dying, saying that he watched it and knew it was him by his hat, and going on to rap back-to-back demonic bars, repeating his claim from the opening track that he had his ops screaming, going on to say, like, "Check the news, that dude dead, we really putting stuff to bed," and rapping, "Dropped his pictures on the net, his peoples had to see him dead." These were shocking and brutal lyrics, but they were truly the facts of the demonic life that Jeff was living, and ironically, he ended up on both sides of the gun. As some in the comments would explain, this song ironically saw Jeff describing his own death without even realizing it. Jeff probably didn't realize it, but his most demonic lyrics had an insane level of dramatic irony, as he personally lived the life he rapped about and ended up falling victim to it in the very same way. Some people called this the best song on the album. Another person left an interesting comment praising Jeff's content, saying, "Bro made some real posthumous music, especially considering the circumstance. It's the same story and the guy screwed up letting him front head of a drill. He should have stayed out of Chicago. Bro would have been big. The music just hits different knowing who dude really was. This stuff's the definition of hard. Let's be honest, dude was really what Tupac rapped about and pretended to be," while others praised the production of the song. But the next track, Bill Russell, had even more lyrics that saw Jeff describing how he lived and ironically how he died at the same time, rapping if somebody runs up on them, he's going to hit them in the face, and again describing his own death without realizing it in the next bar, rapping, "Don't run because we chasing dudes." He would brag about having 10 kills again, and the penultimate track, Should Have Saw It, is probably my favorite song on the album apart from The beat is a booming, high-energy instrumental that transcends Chicago drill and would actually be a club banger if the lyrics weren't so damn violent. And in the bars, Jeff goes back-to-back with aggressive lyrics and a relentless flow, delivering line after line about his real life as a killer in Chicago, with interesting details we hadn't heard before, like one bar where he claimed his mother saw him shooting a Draco outside of his home, and more bars that seem to describe his death, chasing somebody but not being able to make it far. Other bars mocked his ops for clumsily slipping over on drills, which is ironically exactly what his friend Q50 did in the footage of the shooting where Jeff lost his life, and a bar that's so eerily similar to how Jeff died, it feels like he wrote it from after death, rapping, "I would have ran inside his home if my gun ain't click." This song was hard as nails, and setting aside the fact that ironically, all the things Jeff said he did to his ops actually ended up happening to him on camera, he really painted a vivid picture of being a hopeless shooter in the streets of Chicago, dishing out pain and living a life that can sadly only end one way. There was one particularly insightful comment on this track saying, "Damn Lil Jeff, I've seen this story play out so many times. I'm only 24 in Cali. Dude had a great energy about him. The laugh, charisma, and ability to comprehend certain things. Clearly his street cred preceded him. He didn't need to frontline anymore, but I believe his soul was in a lot of resistance to anything good after feeling the world let him down. You're saying my future not looking bright?" He seemed disappointed when he said that, and seemed like someone who feels things. Perhaps he just said F it when things didn't go as planned in life like some of us do. But the older generations, even my age, have a responsibility to drop game when we see anybody like him around us. We might save a life, we might not, but how can we live any longer just standing by? At least you can say you tried. Stay prayed up, y'all. The final track on the Stepping in Blood tape was the aptly titled song Draco Afterlife. Now, this is probably my least favorite song on the tape because it came with a very minimalist beat that's quite hard to listen to, but that's perhaps the point, as others have described this song as their favorite of the album. The track has a very harsh and disjointed feel that almost makes you feel like you're actually on a drill that's gone wrong. Now, maybe I'm reading too much into it. This last song on the tape seems to really give the listener a feeling of peril when a drill goes left. From the opening bar, Jeff describes catching an op and sitting them down on the floor so they can't get up no more. An op's thinking that they're tall and getting knocked down, as well as shooting ops when they go out of bounds, and saying that his ops can't catch him lacking, as well as saying that he hops out blowing and he makes his ops duck. That every time he sees an op, he jumps out shooting. And one eerie bar seems to describe how things went left for Jeff on that day, as he raps, "He'll turn your smile right into a frown," and ending the song with the haunting bar, "I hate my ops so effing bad, I'ma try and kill their in the next life after," and speaking on the outro, saying that he'll still be shooting his Draco in the afterlife. Now, this is where the YouTube version of the song ends, but on the Spotify version, the track continues to run with the beat just looping for another 2 minutes without Jeff rapping again. Now, I'm not sure if this is a mistake or intentional, but to me, it really works, and this haunting beat looping with silence from Jeff for an entire 2 minutes really brings you back to what it felt like was the theme of the song, with it representing the vibe of a drill gone wrong, and then the absence of Jeff for an entire 2 minutes at the end of the track, and with that last bar saying that he'll still be shooting the Draco in the afterlife, just makes me feel like this is what the song is communicating. The aggressive and disjointed beat just keeps on banging away relentlessly for 2 minutes, like Jeff is in the afterlife shooting bullet after bullet at the same ops he was shooting when he was alive. Honestly, you might disagree with me, but I personally feel like Steppin' in Blood is one of the best and most important rap albums ever to emerge from Chicago. I think the tape will be analysed for years to come, and it says so much about the mood amongst the youth in Chicago in 2024. Jeff was truly living what he rapped, and between the reporting on the killings he allegedly did and this album, which was wall-to-wall with self-snitching and self-reflection on that lifestyle, it's hard not to see this album as like the ultimate confession of a Chicago demon. He speaks so casually about the murders, and the whole thing is steeped in irony because nearly everything he said he did to the ops ultimately ended up happening to him, and on camera no less. I feel like Steppin' in Blood cemented Lil Jeff as the latest and one of the greatest poster childs of Chicago drill. It summarized the culture of modern-day Chicago murder music and represented the ultimate evolution of gangster rap. And don't get me wrong, I'm by no means condoning what Jeff did, but what I am saying is that he laid it out for the whole world to see and communicated a 1 in a million life of extreme violence with surprising eloquence. Therefore, it's no surprise then that since its release, Lil Jeff has become the latest deity on social media representing that Chicago drill culture. Perhaps one of the most interesting things to happen after Lil Jeff died wasn't necessarily in the streets, but actually was on the internet, specifically on Reddit, where most of the rabid fans of Chicago drill treat the gang wars like they're professional sports. Jeff's death and the rumors of him possibly having been a more prolific killer than King Von with 10 or 11 bodies to his name quickly made Lil Jeff a darling amongst the Chiracology community, the original and by far the biggest and most buzzing Reddit community covering the Chicago gang wars and drill community. People would claim that Chiracology had finally found a new King Von in Lil Jeff, as comments would say the sub was now in shambles after the death of their #1 draft pick prospect in the 2024 gang wars, and that people had only got interested in him now that he was no longer here. One post would pop up 4 days after Lil Jeff's death with a montage of his happy moments and a caption reading, "I literally have no idea why Lil Jeff's death hit so hard. Like, I can't even explain it. Dude's personality was just top tier. I wanted this dude to just make it and leave the BS alone. Looking at his parents, he didn't even have a chance at life from the start. RIP Jeff Hardy, Jeff Dahmer." After that, speculation would begin as a rumor spread from Street News TV saying that Jeff was actually wanted for the double murder when he lost his life, and posts praising Jeff saying a desire to avenge him could pull someone out of a coma would go viral in Chiracology too. However, despite Jeff becoming a huge topic for debate in the Chiracology subreddit, for some, they would need to take it a step further, and soon a whole new community dedicated solely to Lil Jeff alone would emerge with the name r/Lil Jeffology. Interestingly, the Lil Jeff subreddit actually was created 2 days after Lil Jeff's death on the 10th of June 2024, with the first post actually being simply a text post with his name, but soon more tributes began appearing on the barely populated message board, with the first reading, "Long live Big Bleed, they couldn't take you," and the next reading, "Long live Jeff Hardy." However, it wasn't all love, as Jeff's internet ops would begin commenting, mocking him for getting shot so many times on the ground, but that didn't didn't stop the obsessive fans continuing to show love. Another post reading, "Bleeding for life, long live Mr. Take Your J," and soon fans would begin to take the glazing to comical levels, to the point where it would seemingly become a joke to declare your intense love for Lil Jeff. One poster shared saying that they had a hard time sleeping last night and that they felt Lil Jeff would have made King Von proud, and commenters would explain how they felt the same and they couldn't believe the people who were trashing Jeff before his death were now becoming fans. Others said they'd woken up since Jeff's death, wishing it was a dream, while some commented that they had to smoke to numb the pain and that they had nearly thrown up when they heard the news. The next post would claim that Jeff left bloody footprints all across Chicago and Milwaukee and claimed that he'd be remembered forever for his actions in the streets, with fans in the comments beginning to debate on their favourite Lil Jeff songs and verses. And this is where the post begun to get truly bizarre and ridiculous. Another post would then emerge titled 24 Hours Without Lil Jeff, where the original poster complained that they've suffered depression and sleepless nights because of Jeff's passing, claiming that his lyrics were like therapy to him and that he felt a deep personal connection to Jeff despite his 11 bodies and personal flaws. Now Jeff had died, he claimed there was a void to fill in his heart that he couldn't fill, and he praised the Lil Jeffology subreddit as a place where he could grieve Jeff in solidarity with other fans. But not all the comments took this seriously, and I wouldn't either, but many others praised the sentiment and made comments bigging up Jeff for his violent crimes and paying homage to his hat emojis representing kills. Others would comment absurd nicknames for Jeff, saying things like "Long live Mr. Too Slimy," aka Big Bleed, aka Jeff Hardy, aka Mr. I woulda ran inside his home if my gun ain't click, aka Hefe, with his haters even clapping back in the comments to those and mocking Jeff for how he went out, saying aka Mr. I got my S pushed back and lit up 15 times because I thought they stopped making guns when they made mine. Others made more sensible comments that seemed to have truly taken the pulse of the drill community at the time, with one person saying the replies to this weird comment are even weirder. You followed Lil Jeff because of his bodies. Standing a crackhead serial killer ain't it, fam. You're disciples of death and you need Jesus. Lil Death will be forgotten by next month. However, Lil Jeff was not forgotten next month, and every day that went by, his legend would only get bigger. People referred to Lil Jeff as J-Roy in honor of King Von's nickname V-Roy that he got from his best friend and prolific O-Block shooter, T-Roy. People posted Jeff's lyrics saying V-Roy would have been proud of J-Roy, aka Jeffrey Dahmer. People vowed to snort perks in Jeff's honor. Some said they were so devastated by the loss of Jeff, they were ready to pass on themselves, and claiming that they had even dreamed of Jeff drilling them. Some compared Jeff to Michael Jackson and Tupac Shakur, marking the milestone of it being exactly 1 week since Jeff lost his life. And another saying things haven't gotten easier after a whole week, asking other Lil Jeffologists on grieving tips, and claiming that every day it was getting harder, not easier, to live without Jeff. By day 12, people were saying that they were saying bring back King Jeff in the mirror 3 times, but nothing was working. Joking aside, some people were truly devastated by the loss of Jeff, while others were simply curious as to exactly who was responsible. Funnily enough, in the days and weeks that followed Jeff's death, these rabid internet communities would not only get to work cracking the case and identifying Jeff's shooter, but also splitting into 2 factions, with Redditors picking sides and going to war with one another about who was really in the right in the situation that claimed Jeff's life.